Hello and welcome, Lockdown Defenders. I'm Coach Mike, and today we are breaking down 2019 NCAA Defensive Player of the Year and a rookie already translating those skills to the NBA, Matisse Thybulle, and the techniques that have made him already one of my favorite defenders.
Oh man, what a defensive play. Tremendous defense. Wow.
I think he's in the same class defensively as you and Jason.
Yes, of course. Yes, he is.
Thybulle already reminds me of a mixture of several great defenders. He uses an upward stance similar to Pippen and Iguodala, often with slight knee bend and shoulders in line with his toes. This allows him to use his 7-foot wingspan to execute wide steals and challenge shots, which we'll get to later. His agility in this stance allows him to pressure the ball and even beat players to their spots, even executing a Scottie Pippen-esque slide charge every so often. The one thing that sticks out with his technique is how often he uses the crossover step on the ball. Many great players have used this crossover step, often when your top foot gets beaten and your opponent now has a better angle to the basket. The crossover step allows you to cover more ground than a slide, allowing you to recover to your opponent's line. Now, Thybulle doesn't use this technique exclusively. He's very explosive in his slides, sometimes even breaking the old coaching sin of bringing your feet together, when in actuality, this allows him to be more explosive and wider in his next slide. This 2 feet touch allowing him to explode and remain square. Like many great on-ball defenders, Thybulle is put in a ton of ball screens, and he has 2 preferred methods of guarding them. If the ball screen is set close to his body, he will try and knife his top foot over the screen first, and then try and get back in front with his regular defense. But if he gets hit or clipped while getting his top foot over, he will immediately use a crossover step to recover back in front of the ball handler. If the ball screen is set further from his body, he will go into this turn and run to get around the screen from the beginning. This will put him in a recovery position and behind the offensive player, but he'll use one of many of his behind the play techniques. One of his favorites, the behind poke. Even going back to his days in college, being a menace behind the play. By using the crossover step at the point of the screen, he swivels his body just as the opponent begins to turn the corner. This puts him in position of the exposed ball in the outside hand, using his reach to poke in the dribble pocket just as the ball typically returns to it, right after the screen. A low-risk move that you can use when players properly come off screens tight and you're in recovery mode. And if Thybulle is initially out of reach, he'll sometimes even continue to recover to the outside hand. Seeing that there's no easy path back in front, maybe the best idea is to just go for the ball. Now, he doesn't reserve the behind poke exclusively for the pick and roll. Typically, you'll see the back tap a lot in transition, where you don't have to slow down to get a steal attempt, and if you miss, you're back in front. He'll also use this technique from the gap when a player drives his teammate. Against post-ups, which is slightly different but still the same concept. And really, anytime he's beaten in a straight line where he has to use the turn and run to recover. And even if he misses, then he can employ another one of his favorite techniques, the behind block.
Speed was heading down court like it's a fait accompli. Oh, Matisse Thybulle, another block on heel. That's the second time he snuffed him in the game.
Similar to Kevin Garnett's flyby blocks, this is another way Matisse wreaks havoc from behind the play. Much like a great shot blocker, he's still anticipating and blocking a spot the ball is going to go. The difference, of course, is when you're guarding perimeter players taking a jump shot, that spot is right above their head. As soon as he sees that guard gather, he's not waiting, he's going for that spot above their head. A great tool to use from behind the play in recovery, and one just like the behind poke that he doesn't reserve for only on the ball, sometimes even doing it from help. And much like the chase down block, you have to anticipate high and jump to the outside shoulder to avoid contact. And of course, the chase down block is something I see Thybulle adding more and more to his game. And of course, his length makes him a menace from behind the play, but he's also one in front of it, especially when contesting. It's incredible how many blocks and tip shots he gets from contesting shots on the perimeter. The first concept is he's always contesting at the point of release. It's not as simple as just putting a hand up, it's getting to the point of release. So even if he doesn't get the block or tip, he's still altering their shot and highly contesting it. Now he does a great job of avoiding fouls because he's going for the point of release, not the ball, and he's jumping by or in front of their body. Now, of course, he is taking a risk. He is jumping sometimes even before they are in their shot motion, which allows him to get more blocks and of course will leave him more susceptible to pump fakes. But at the NBA level, where the three is something you need to take away, Thybulle is extremely effective at it. And if you want to learn more about effective closeouts and how to contest shots with new drills and advanced teaching concepts, then check out my website at lockdownhoops.square.site. Link is in the description. And finally, Thybulle is more than just a great on-ball defender. He's great off the ball, from stealing sneaky backcourt passes to seeing rotations beyond his years. He always has a hand in the passing lane, which causes him to deflect some passes and lead to easy steals. Especially when his opponent is moving, he's going to keep his closest hand to the ball up and ready to deflect passes. And when he recovers from a stunt or help, he's going to recover with a hand in the passing lane, getting a deflection, steal, or making the pass more difficult. And when he's stationary in the gap or in help, he's like Tony Allen. He's going to go for those steals with his far arm, keeping vision of the ball and extending his reach into the passing lane even more. And like Tony Allen, he also loves to blow up handoffs, taking advantage of the big exposing the ball to execute the dribble handoff, but instead sticking your hand in there and going for the steal to blow it up. It's hard to stop making comparisons to a player so young who is already cementing himself as a lockdown defender.
2 shots, 8 of 22 for the floor, and Thybulle took it away from him, and he is going to solo! Wow, what a game for Matisse Thybulle!
But if one thing's for certain, he's quickly become one of my favorites to watch. With such a full tool bag already, I'm excited to see how good he can become. As always, I'm Coach Mike with Lockdown Defense. Keep up the hard work.